Good afternoon, Peter.
Hello there, Rusty. How are you?
Great. And for those who don't know, this is Peter McAleese. And Peter is going to carry on with the videos with us. Today, it's going to be about SAS selection and training, friendship, going back to 1962. Before that, though, I've had a lot of people, lots of comments you'll see. Rusty, is Peter McAleese and John McAleese related? Well, I know the story, but I couldn't explain it anywhere near how Peter McAleese can explain it. So before we start, I've asked Peter if he will go back in time about the McAleese name, how and when it started, and the difference in the McAleese, and so on, way back before the potato famine. So Peter, if you'd like to carry on from there and tell the viewers all about that, and that will clear the air once and for all.
From what I've gathered is the name McAleese came from McLeish, and they finished up in Ireland at one stage, and various members of the family were in different parishes. And the parish that my side of the family went to, the priest spelled the name McAleese. Now, bear in mind, people couldn't read and write in those days. So most of the people with that spelling of the name, the chances are that they were in that parish. Later on, a lot of them returned to Scotland. Some went to Airdrie and Coatbridge, became miners. Some were in Stirling, and another branch of them was in Loch Hoare, where they worked in the mines up there. So that is my take on it. I'm not saying I'm right, but that's what I came up with in my research. I spoke to John once about it, and he says, I couldn't tell you, and we just chatted away. We became fairly friendly and always said hello to each other.
Well, there you go, guys, from the horse's mouth. And of course, you now know how John and Peter share the same name, as I do fully. And great to know the pair of them. I'll be really honest about that. So Peter himself now, yes, we're doing stuff together, but Peter has his own YouTube channel. It's called, any guesses, Peter McAleese, SAS TV. Take a look at it. Feel free to subscribe. It is free. You don't have to pay. We don't get a lot in this world for nothing. Take a look at it and you'll see another video on that you may not see on this channel. So there's alternations going on. Let's get on there, subscribe, and get the numbers up like he did with my channel. It's taken a year. Thank you very much. But let's get Peter's up there and let's really show what we're about. So we're going to go on to the first part. And Peter, as you know, Peter has got a new book out or coming out. It's a reprinted book from a long time ago, 93 or something. So that will be out in a couple of weeks. And it looks really great. Different cover. Wait till you see it. Okay. Thank you, Peter. Once you get that, take a look. It'll be on the website that's come in, everything. So just keep your eyes peeled and we'll keep you in the picture. The book, of course, is called No Mean Soldier, as you could see. Even I'm going to get a signed copy. Can you believe that? Yes. In the book, there's a mention of, Peter calls it a small part in the book, and it's about the killing of Escobar. Everybody knows who Pablo Escobar was, going back all those years ago. I ain't going to tell you. It's in the book. The killing of Escobar is out, came out on the 12th of March, and it's on some of the virtual channels, the cinema type channels. Search for it, take a look at it, I think you'll be really impressed. And that is out right now. Peter has done nothing but interviews for different newspapers and stuff over the last week, 10 days. And as of now, still doing it. So you're going to hear an awful lot about Peter sat in front of you. Take a look at it, Killing of Escobar. It's a big film, and it will be a big film. Who knows, could end up on Netflix, wherever. Right, enough said about that, but I brought you up to date, you know, as much as I do. Today, we're going to talk about Peter's selection and training. This goes back to 1962, SAS selection. Okay, 1962. Wow, a long time ago. Well, he left the Paras, been there a couple of years, left the Paras, wanted to join the SAS. Peter, pre-selection for the SAS. Okay, you're in the Paras, fit lad, jumping out of aircraft. Great. What did you do as any pre-selection? I mean, I did quite a lot of pre-selection up on the Brecon Beacons. Tell the viewers what you did.
I trained as much as I could around the Aldershot area at the back of Ash Ranges.
No.
There was a sort of hill there, and I used to trot up and down it with a rucksack with about 50 pounds in it. I just had a friend there who used to come with me and push me as much as he could. And I felt that when I went to Hereford, I felt in a good state of repair.
That's, you didn't really get up to the Brecons and stuff and run around.
No, I never got there. We didn't have cars then, you know.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it would have been
Make the best of what you could. And you were running around with £50 in your Bergen around all the short areas.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Pete. I'm surprised you didn't get mugged, mate. That's a lot of money to carry around in a Bergen. I can tell you that. But it just shows you the difference between yours, mine, and what happens today for the training. What about as a young lad when you're in that type of environment? I joined at 15 as a boy soldier. But what about the things like a drinking culture? Was there a drinking culture that went with the professional soldiers type side of life?
Well, in the Paras, Thursday night was a sort of drinking night. That's when you get paid. We'd all go to the NAFI club. Some of the guys used to go to their own personal little pubs and sit and have a quiet drink. Most of us finished up in the NAFI club. And there was some heavy drinking started on the Thursday and carried on over the weekend.
Yeah.
Come Monday, you were broke.
Yeah, I know that one. Good fun though, wasn't it? You know, you have to borrow off somebody else to get you through the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stories. The selection itself then, Peter, you know, back in 1962, you know, when you look at, you look at this, you know, people have talked, and so have I, about the Channel 4 program that was on there. I'm not going to mention it because it's been done to death, but actually the reality show where you get screamed at and shouted at and this, that, and the other, it didn't happen in my day. And I'll come on to that in a minute. What about yourself when you did the selection? What were the instructors like? You know, did they
were fantastic people.
Yeah.
You know, nobody raised their voice to you. They just told you to do things. And we got on with it. Even when you were on the hills, they'd tell you where you had to go, and it was up to you whether you made it or not.
Yeah.
They were extremely patient on instructional side. They were patient with us, and all we wanted to do was, you know, get on with it, you know. But it was mainly just it spoke to me like I'm speaking to you. There was no roaring and bawling and, you know, American Marine type shouting. You know, I I was glad to be there. You know, it was a difference being in the parachute regiment,
Yeah.
where it was fairly, the discipline was fairly firm.
Yeah.
It could at times be a bit manic, you know. But
two different sets of training, obviously, and you know, but the fact is, Peter, that I don't know about you, but I found that the instructors, they wanted you to pass. They were helpful, you know. They give you advice. They were experienced. You must have come through all that with some of the instructors that you had there, because they wanted people into the regiment, but they were there to help, assist throughout. What about, give us a story on some of your stuff? You know, you must have seen that in close up, as I did.
Oh, you know, as I say, I've never seen such patience with the guys who were instructing us. If you were struggling with anything, they'd come and say, "What's wrong? Is there anything I can do to help you?" And that help was always there. And it just carried on for the duration of selection. And when we were told we passed, they congratulated us and said, "Well done." But you know, they contributed an awful lot to us passing.
Yeah, well, that's what,
you know. They weren't out there to fail us. They weren't out there to wear us down. They were out there to get us through selection and weed out, you know, the people who were weaker and just get them on their way.
That was pretty similar, of course. I mean, you did your selection, what, 15 years before I did mine?
Yes.
Where did you do, where were you based? Were you based in Hereford or over at Brecon?
No, they'd moved out. They used to be based at Brecon and they'd moved back to Hereford. A couple of courses with mine.
Yeah.
And the thing was, the amount of travelling you did, you were up about 4 o'clock in the morning, battering down to the beacons. It was a long, long day.
Yeah.
But you always get back there. When you get back at night time, there was food, there was everything laid on. And it was a good organised setup.
Yeah, the traveling, you know, there could be 3 hours, 2.5 hours, certainly 3 hours in the 4-tonners, 3-tonners to get out there. For me, that was the worst part of selection, traveling to and from. But when you got back and you were on the next day, you know, some of them weren't the guys, you know, you thought the big fit guys and stuff, they were being weeded out already. I mean, that must have happened on yours.
Yeah, well, you know, I think it was a fantastic system there, in that, you know, you never saw the guy again. You know, if somebody was moved out or if somebody jacked in the course, he was just moved away and you never saw him again. There was none of this him hanging about and lowering morale or else feeling sorry for himself. They were gone straight away.
It's platform 4 again, right, for most of them.
The platform 4.
And they're never to be seen again. But I take my hat off to everybody who tried, and I think you do as well, Peter. You know, you try and fail, at least you've had a go, and you know, hats off on that side of it as well. But you're right, gone, never to be seen again. You know, as it failed, and then of course,
and the continuation training was fantastic. You know, we covered explosives, signals, everything that you could possibly mention. We ran through it all again, you know.
We'll do this
where it fitted into the SAS type soldier.
We'll do the continuation one separate, as we said. But people who pass like yourself, continuation was round the corner. So you didn't have a berry, you didn't have a belt, stable belt. You didn't have any of that yet. What you'd done is 4 weeks of continuous hard training, and you'd passed that. And that was stage 1, really. The next stage was about to come. But what about a couple of your friends you mentioned, good friends, you know, Joe Locke and was it Vic?
Mick Reeves.
Sorry, Mick Reeves. We'll talk about them in the next video, the friendship stuff. But you got to meet certain people that I don't know about you, but they were there forever with you. You find that the group that was there that passed would stay friends normally forever and still to this day. Would that be right?
Yes, there was only, I did the winter course, and a lot of people weren't too keen on it. And there was 32 started the selection, and 4 of us finished. And then, but 3 of the guys were recourses, so it made up to 7. And then 1 got RTU'd for being a bit immature. And but they spent an awful lot of time with us, the instructors, and it was all small classes.
Yeah.
So they were getting close to you, and they knew all about you. They watched your mannerisms, your how you handled yourself and how you handled situations. They were good men.
As I say, at the end of the day, you knew that when you finished for the day, a long day,
Yeah.
about you, I knew that when they got together after that day, they were talking about you.
Oh yeah.
Between the instructors were talking physically, right? And the next day when you come out on parade, if you were still there, great. And it would have been the same for you, but yours was a lot lower number, which meant you got really good more individual, but they would find out more about you as well.
Oh, they knew it was okay, yeah.
It's all part of the fun of doing the selection, I've got to say. I met some great friends of mine, which to this day, a lot of them are still around, living in Hereford a lot, but like yours, but there were days you'll never forget. And it was the start of what you were doing. The continuation side, we'll leave that for now because it's going to take up a bit of time. But when you realize that you'd completed the first phase, if you like, and you passed and waiting for continuation, even then, I know people that were taken off afterwards within a couple of days for doing, like you said, certain stuff which they got caught doing.
Yes.
Right. And we've all done it. But the fact is that, unfortunately, you get caught at one stage where you might not get caught at another stage.
Yeah.
And you must have found that, Peter, in the when you went through yours and the 4 of you finished, that must have been some feeling for you.
It was. Well, I said to myself, I've achieved something, and I was extremely proud.
Yeah.
And in actual fact, the instructors were pretty good as well, because they saw the end product. They'd see you coming there, they'd see you on the hills, you'd be shattered, and then and they'd crack the odd joke with you, and at the end they'd come up and shake your hand and say, "Well done."
And then they tell you to prepare yourself for the next, which
You're
is
still
like
not in yet.
No. And that's what a lot of people found that the first part was done.
Yeah.
But then they do realize, or should do, that you had another 4.5 to 5 months to go.
It never seemed to end. You felt like you were on probation the whole time.
Yeah.
And you'd sit there like, and you were trying to give your best the whole time, because you realized that any time that if you weren't giving it your 100%, you could be on the platform.
Yeah, you're right. And that platform could take you anywhere in the world afterwards.
Yeah.
So we beat the platform, and of course, we can talk about the continuation and the rest of the course and a different one. But just to go back slightly to the reality show, which Peter's seen, I've seen, it's not quite like that. it goes back much
I-
further.
Yeah, I watch it, and I don't know. I mean, I don't have much to do with the regiment now, but either the way they projected it was not the regiment that I was in.
Or me.
Yeah, and there seemed to be a lot of posturing and whatnot and posing. But as I say, I can't really pass any remark on it because the regiment it has moved on since then. I don't know what like it is now,
But if it is like that, I mean, I wouldn't go back anyway. So, but I'm sure it's not. They do a great job, and it gets portrayed on Channel 4 far different, And when I read that remark in the newspaper that the RSM has banned, that the guys watching it told me a little story. It was in the newspaper a couple of months ago. He wouldn't let the regiment watch it. I don't know if he's going to enforce that, but just to give people an idea, Peter did 1962, I did 77. And of course, back then, we didn't have, and Peter before me didn't have Gucci kit like they have now. Big Dayglow Bergens you can see from 5 miles away. I mean, trackers and stuff. We didn't have any of that. What we had is what we stood up in, and it wasn't waterproof. It wasn't Gore-Tex. It was bog standard army kit.
The difference between normal kits.
Yeah, tell them about it.
The difference between normal kits and winter warfare kit was you got a heavy duty pullover.
Yeah. And, to do all those marches over the Brecon Beacons and stuff, I mean, nowadays, you've got the Elfin safety. Well, we had it in my day. Peter didn't have it in his day because it came in 74, I think. And, of course, now you just follow a line of yellow Bergens or orange Bergens. It's remarkable how it's changed, but things change. Anyway, Peter, on this one, we're going to wrap up for now. The next one we're going to do, obviously, is your friendship and stuff with a certain couple of guys in particular, and we'll add that into the next video. So thanks very much. Those watching, thoughts and comments, throw them onto the channel. As you can see that I'm answering them as soon as I can. And in fact, when you see the other ones on Peter's channel, throw the comments in there as well, because I would say 99% of comments I've seen, 99 are positive comments. They like it. And all we're doing is telling the story of how it was. And you've got a cross section of 1962 and before, all the way through to now. Mine was only 77 till now. But you're getting stories which I feel you like. But the thing is, they're truthful stories. But you're getting it from the right people. So I hope you've enjoyed it and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks very much, Peter.
Thank you.
And thanks to all the viewers. I'm sure Peter will say thanks to them as well.
Thank you for watching.
And we'll catch up.